you get from the film, The American Society of Magical Negroes?
It was interesting. I think the social commentary that's happening throughout and then really blows up at the end um, is an interesting way to display it. I think the advertising for the movie and what the movie was very different. Not quite a bait and switch, but um, I think some people, I was reading some things before I watched it, and some people thought maybe this would be like a Black Harry Potter, or even if it's a spoof of it. And it wasn't that. It wasn't Jordan Peele style commentary with like some scary stuff in there. Um, just different, but yeah, interesting choices, interesting cast, and yeah, I see why. I didn't read, I guess, the actual review comments, but I do understand why it has low reviews.
Yeah, actually, the Rotten Tomato score isn't as low as you might think. It's at 64.
Yeah, I think it's went up some.
Yeah, and I didn't see any promotional material. I kind of heard about it, but nothing really of note that I saw. But I will have to say that Rotten Tomato score is way too high.
And I guess that's the audience score. The tomato meter is 28.
I thought it said 64. The Rotten Tomatoes.
64 is the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Huh.
For like the actual reviewer folks, to 28.
Okay. Well, that's still too high. Because
it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, this movie is trash. Absolute garbage. I mean, this movie is, for me, the worst movie of the year. Because this whole premise is terrible. Just the idea of it is just really bad. And the movie is just so boring. Really boring. The guy, the main character, Justice Smith, he plays Aaron. He plays the same character in almost every movie. This kind of socially awkward, shy guy who, I guess things work out for him sometimes. But he plays the same character in every single movie. He did it in Detective Pikachu. He did it in, what is it called? Jurassic World. I mean...
See, that's why I wonder if he wasn't the main actor, I wonder if he'd feel differently.
Me?
About how boring it is.
Well, it might not be as boring.
He just might be boring.
I don't know about that, but I think the premise of this is just terrible. So this whole society is made up to make white people feel more comfortable. That's the premise of this.
Right. That's the superpower.
Terrible idea. Absolutely awful. And kind of offensive in a way. The way that, it's almost like, I don't know, I kind of hesitate to say this, but almost like being a slave. That's what this is.
I think that was all. I mean, I think that's on purpose. It's because I think the point of it with the main character is he feels like he's socially awkward for anybody, but particularly around white people, because he feels like he is always trying to make them feel comfortable in their everyday space. And
he's socially awkward the whole movie.
That's why I was saying it could be also his fault as an actor, but particularly around white people, he feels as though he has to walk on eggshells and make them feel comfortable and whatnot. And it's almost as if this secret society is bringing that quiet idea that some people have played in the background in real life and putting it front and center for those who may not see that everyday plight of people of color. So, but anytime you have a socially conscious movie, I think you have to ask, who is the audience? And is there learning to be intended, or is it just for the value of being seen, or what is the point? And I think what's hard in this movie is the audience of who would go see it.
Nobody.
Is not the audience. I mean, but someone, I mean, we're looking at the comments of who wanted to go see it. So when it was the commercials and whatnot, because they made it portrayed to a different movie than what it was. So that audience is portraying to be a black movie, so a movie for black audiences. But then you go and see it, and it's not anything that that audience would want to see, nor gain anything from seeing.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's a bad movie. Unlike how sometimes with the Jordan Peele movies, the audience who's going to go see it isn't necessarily brought there for this racial undertone of story, thinking like Get Out, but they're brought there because it's a good movie. It's a thriller, and there happens to be this social context message, whereas this is all social commentary with no flavor of being an interesting movie.
Not one
and
bit.
really confusing as to who the audience was intended to be, and who actually would enjoy it.
Thanks for watching, and if you would like to be featured on our podcast, make sure to click the link in the description.